So today, let's start on our mats, on our backs. If you have a block, let's take supported bridge pose. So you'll use a block for that. You'll just bring it back, set it off to the side of the mat. If you don't have anything to put underneath the hips, it's not a big deal. You can skip it. If you do, well, I'll start with the soles of the feet on the mat. Keep them hip width distance. You want to walk the feet in a little bit. So you don't want the feet to be way ahead of the knees. Ideally, heels in line with the knees. And then you press into the feet, lift the hips up only if you have something to put underneath the hips, and then slide a block or whatever you're using as a block underneath the hips. And you either want the block on the lowest height or the medium height to start, because this is our first back bend. If you've been doing several back bends before this, then you could take it up higher if you'd like, find that relaxing. And then if you don't have anything, just keep the hips down on the mat. You don't want to hold. We're not holding bridge pose. We're just taking either a supported bridge or hips down on the ground. So hips are touching something. Then you can close the eyes, start to take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth, let it go. Deep breath in through the nose, fill all the way up. Exhale out of the mouth, let it go. Last one like that. Big breath in. Exhale, let it go. This time, breathe in through the nose. Take a deep, deep breath. Hold it at the very top. Exhale out of the nose, nice and slow. Inhale in through the nose. Back out through the nose. Keep going. Ujjayi breath. If the hips are lifted and supported, keep pointing the tailbone up between the knees. So notice if the pelvis is shifted or the hips have shifted. Sometimes our bodies feel more comfortable in a posterior tilt or an anterior tilt. So this is a nice time to kind of make sure you have the hips going in the right direction. And that's just a nice guide, tailbone going up between the knees. It keeps the lower back long. Slight toning of the belly so it's not completely relaxed. Then reach the arms overhead, just finding a little bit of a stretch. You can let the arms be heavy and relax. You can either leave the arms overhead the way that they are, or you can clasp opposite elbows or forearms, whatever's happening there. And if it feels like it's too much, skip the clasping and just stretch the arms back behind you. And then switch the grip if you do have the clasp, other forearm on top. Then stretch the arms back behind you if you have the forearms or the elbows clasped. Arms down by the sides, everyone. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, slide that block out from underneath you, and you'll just set it down to the side of the mat. Hips come back down to the side of the mat. Stay here, still with your Ujjayi breath, feeling how that shifted things. So block underneath you, keeping you in that back bend. Keep the left foot on the mat, hug the right knee in toward the chest. Doesn't have to be a tight squeeze, just enough to feel a little bit more space in the lower back. And then extend that right leg up. You can grab onto the back of the right thigh. Heel goes up toward the sky, toes down toward the face. Left foot can stay where it is. You could extend the left leg out in front of you. Just listen to the lower back. If it's not into it, then you just bring the sole of the foot back to the mat and you give it more time. Sole the left foot to the mat, right foot to the mat, hug the left knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg up, grab onto the back of the left thigh, and then flex the foot. Bring the toes down. lengthening the calf. Maybe the right leg extends out in front of you. See how that feels. And if you do the right foot, it just rests on the mat. The right heel is resting down on the mat. Then bring both knees in toward the chest. You can rock side to side a little bit. Keeping the knees in toward the chest, interlace the fingers back behind the head, and then just rest the head in the hands. So elbows are on the mat, arms are on the mat, chest is nice and open. And then you can move the knees away from you so they're right over the hips. You could even go a little farther back, and that'll make things a little bit more challenging. But the closer the knees are in toward the chest, the easier this is. So try for knees over the hips or maybe a little further back. Hug the belly in, look up, take an inhale. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades up and away from the mat using the core. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. This time, exhale up. Extend the left leg, twist to the right. Back to center, knees together, twist to the left. Back to center, twist to the right. Back to center, twist to the left. Come back to center, keep the chest lifted. You can keep the knees the way that we've been doing it. If you're looking for more of a challenge in your core, extend the legs out in front of you. Do bicycles this way. Right knee comes in, twist to the right. Extend that right leg back out. Bring the left knee in, twist to the left. So you'll go side to side, either legs extended out in front of you in between or knees bent in between. But you can feel that difference between the two. So it might be obvious which choice you're looking for, depending on what your goals are with your practice today. One more time each side. Twist to the right. Twist to the left. And then reach the arms forward, lift the chest. Legs can be extended or bent for 3, 2, 1. Let it all go. Just a brief shavasana, lying down on the mat, feeling all that heat in the core. Start to walk the feet in, roll over to your right side, use the hands to bring yourself back up to seated. If you had a block and it moved toward the side of the mat, just bring it to the top so it's there for you if you want it. And then we'll come to an easy cross-legged seat. Doesn't matter which shin's in front. Maybe shift side to side a couple of times, and we'll come into a hip opening this way. Reach the arms all the way up, and on the exhale, hands come down in front of you if they reach. If they don't, you could always use a block to bridge that gap between the body and the mat. If they easily reach the mat, then just fold down. It's not your deepest hip opening, just a gentle one to start. And if you have a block, you could always rest the forehead on the block too. And that makes it a little bit more calming of a pose and helps you get deeper into the hips. And then walk the hands back in, bring the hands back behind you, lean back, switch the crossing of the legs, other shin in front, maybe shifting side to side a couple of times until you find even on your sit bones. Reach the arms all the way up, folding down over the legs. Take your time coming into the other side. Don't automatically go right to where you were before. Feel your way into it and see where the same sensation is on this hip versus the first one. Then start to bring it back to seated. You can bring the hands to the knees. And on the exhale, round the spine, chin in toward the chest. On the inhale, lift the heart up to the sky. Maybe the gaze goes with it, but protect the length of the neck. Exhale, round. So it's just like cat-cow, but we're seated. Inhale, lift. So you can look up, but you want to keep that curve of the back of the neck. So we don't want the back of the head going all the way back. Exhale, round. And it's the same thing with all of our back bends. So up dog, cobra. Sometimes it feels good in our bodies to do that, but it's really not good for our anatomy. And if it is something you really struggle with, changing the gaze will help. So if you just don't look as far up, the head won't go as far back. Okay, one more cycle. And back to your neutral spine, come to hands and knees. And as you come to hands and knees, spread the fingers out wide, stack the shoulders over the wrists. The hands are shoulder width distance apart. So you want a big handprint. And then step the right toes back behind you. Spin that right heel down flat. Walk that right foot back until the left toes are in line with the right arch of the foot. Left foot can kick out to the left. That'll just give you a kickstand. So the left foot comes off of the mat. Left hand can also walk off of the mat or just off to the side. Right arm reaches up. So definitely want a wider base for this Modify Vashisthasana side plank. You could stay right here or fire up the right leg and then see if you can lift it, keeping those right toes pointing forward. So you don't want those toes going up. That'll get the hip going in the wrong direction. And then point the toes back behind you, bend the leg, maybe reach back, see if the foot's there. If you can grab it, great. If you can't, then just skip that part and extend the leg and you can keep the right arm reaching up or even overhead if that's better. But if you have the foot, lengthen the front side of the body, keep toning the belly, lengthening the lower back. So you're getting a quad opening, but using the core for stability at the same time. And maybe even getting into that shoulder, depending on how much you're kicking the foot into the hand and the hand back into the foot. Slowly start to release the foot. If you have it, reach the right arm up, bring the right hand back down to the mat and make your way back to all fours. Spread the hands out wide, step the left toes back behind you, spin that left heel down flat. You have to walk it back a little bit so right toes in line with the arch of the left foot. Kick the right foot out off of the mat. Right hand can go out to the side, left arm reaches up. Modify Vashisthasana. See where you can get see if you can get all the muscles engaged here with that left foot down. And then once you have it, maybe you lift up no higher than hip height with that left foot, which is probably lower than you think. And then point the left toes back behind you, bend that left leg, reach back, see if the foot's there. It's early. It may not be happening and it's not a big deal if it's not. If it's not, then just keep that leg lifted. If it is, left arm up to the sky. If you have the foot, lengthen the whole front side of the body, the lower back, maybe get into that shoulder by kicking the foot into the hand, hand back into the foot. And gently release the foot, reach that left arm back up to the sky, left hand comes back down to the mat, make your way back to all fours. Spread the fingers wide, step both feet back, plank pose. Think about stretching the legs in your plank pose. Hips aren't higher or lower than where they need to be. So if you feel like the hips are lifting and it's taking away length from the legs, lower them, reach the heart forward at the same time. And then imagine somebody's pulling your ankles back and you're trying to spin the inner thighs up toward the sky. That's what brings more space to the lower back. And then the tiniest micro bend in the elbows. So some of us can hold plank pose all day long because we can lock into the joints and just rest down into the bones, but we want to use the muscles. So make sure there's a little bit of a bend, not one you can see, but at least feel. And then see if you can come to your Ujjayi breath, that steady breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. Navel's moving up toward the sternum, gaze is a little bit forward. And then bring the knees down to the mat so they're resting. Keep reaching the heart forward so you lengthen the spine, and then bend the elbows halfway. Come back up to the top on the inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows halfway. They're pointing straight back. Inhale, back up. One more like that one. Bend the elbows halfway, back up to the top. This time, come all the way down onto the mat. So tops of the feet come to the mat. Extend the left arm out to the side. Keep that left hand right in line with the shoulder. Take a peek, make sure it's there. Then you can turn the head to the right. You can even rest the left side of the face down onto the mat. And then as you roll back, pressing into that right hand, you're opening up the left shoulder. So right hand's down on the mat. Feet can stay stacked. Some of you might be comfortable stepping the right toes back. That gets into the hip a little bit more. If it feels good, great. You can always skip it. We're really focused on the shoulder more than anything else here. Stack the right leg on top of the left leg. If you stepped it back, come back onto your stomach. Right arm reaches out to the side, left hand just on the mat. Look to the left, right side of the face, rest down on the mat, and then you roll back onto this right shoulder, stacking the feet, or maybe stepping that left foot back. Left foot on top of the right. If you stepped it back, come back to your stomach. Both hands down by the sides, but you want them way back by the lower ribs. So they're not under the shoulders, they're behind the shoulders. Press into the tops of the feet, keeping them hip width distance apart. Cobra. So be light in the hands, reach the heart forward. Then exhale, release. 2 more like that. Press into the tops of the feet, even the pinky toe side of the foot. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, release, child's pose. Come up to hands and knees, big toes together, sit the hips back. Listen to the knees. If they're bothered in the pose, then you lift the hips up higher. See if you can get the forehead down to the mat. Walk the hands forward. And if the knees are okay, then you get the hips as close as you can to the heels. Look forward at the hands, downward facing dog. Shift forward onto hands and knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. So first downward facing dog, any movement you want, can lift one heel, descend the other, widen the feet, deep bend in the knees. This takes some time here. Make sure the fingers are still spread. Index fingers are pointing forward or a little bit out to give your shoulders plenty of space. And then coming into stillness in your downward facing dog, you can still have a nice bend in the knees. Step the right foot up between the hands. You can come up onto the fingertips. We're just coming into a runner's lunge. Blocks underneath the hands can be really nice too if it's feeling like a little too much of a stretch or difficult to reach the mat. If you feel more comfortable with hands flat on the mat, you can definitely do that too. Set the back knee down, left hand underneath the left shoulder. You could also put a block underneath this hand at whatever height makes the most sense. The higher, the easier this next transition will be. Right hand, right hip, open the chest to the right. So you can stay right here, or back toes tucked, scoot that back knee as far back as you can get it. So you want to be above the kneecap. Maybe you bring the heel in toward the glute, point the toes, reach back, grab the foot. But you want it to be right there. If the foot's just hanging out in space and you're just trying to reach it and it's not happening, the foot goes down to the mat and right hand stays on the hip, and that's your pose. But you can see how if that left hand is higher away from the mat, it's a whole lot easier to reach back and grab for the foot. So that's why that option's there if you want it. Release the foot if you have it. Right hand outside of the right foot. Can set the block off to the side if you're using it. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knees, step back, downward facing dog. Left leg feeling and hip feeling more open than the right. Left foot steps up between the hands. Runner's lunge, maybe up on fingertips or blocks underneath the hands, or you can always go lower with the hands if that's working. But keep the back knee up for this one if that feels okay. Press out through the right heel, keep reaching the chest forward. So you want to feel length up through the crown of the head, out through that back heel. Left knee still pointing straight forward, and the hips are neutral, so they're not swinging out to one side or the other. Then set the back knee down, right hand underneath the right shoulder, maybe lift it on a block, left hand, left hip, open the chest, and then scoot that back knee as far back as you can get it. So trying to be above the kneecap with what's touching down on the mat. And then maybe the right heel comes in toward the glute. You reach back, grab for the foot, get that quad opening. You're getting a hip opening either way. And remember, if you can't connect with the foot, you could use a strap or just keep the left hand on the left hip and let the foot go back down to the mat. Release that right foot back down, left hand to the mat, tuck the toes, lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. We're coming all the way up on the inhale. Circle the arms, press down into the feet and the legs. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Cobra, up dog, you decide, not your first back bend. Try to lengthen the backside of the neck by using the gaze. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, looking forward, step, pop, walk, feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the hands up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga, chest open. Come to the tops of the feet, hug the belly in, reach the chest forward. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Heels are working their way down toward the mat. They don't have to touch, they're just reaching, actively reaching. Bend the knees, look forward, step, hop, get the feet up between the hands as lightly as possible. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Palms come together overhead, down in front of the heart. One more. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands down. Keep reaching the heart forward as you step back to plank pose. Shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, chaturanga to up dog or cobra. Exhale, back, down dog. Right foot steps up between the hands. Take warrior two. Spin that left heel down flat. Use that left arm to come all the way up to your warrior two. Nice long stance in your warrior two. So longer is really nice because it helps you build some strength. You can go too long though. You want to make sure you can dig down into the heel of the right foot and the outer edge of the left foot. So if you can't press those 2 points down in both feet, then adjust the stance. And then you want to keep that right knee stacked over the right ankle, not going ahead of it. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Keep the bend in the front knee as you reach up and back. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm reaches up and over. If you feel open enough, you could bring the right hand down outside of the right foot, even on a block. Extended side angle. Left hand comes down to the mat. Any way you want back to downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa or you can skip it and just go straight back. Left foot steps up between the hands. Right heel spins down flat, warrior two. Heel to heel or heel to arch. Same thing here, drive down through the front heel, outer edge of the back foot. Push the top of the right thigh back. So for a lot of us, that right leg has a little bit of a bend to it, but if you push the right thigh, the top of the right thigh back, you can straighten the right leg a little bit more, but you're still at the same time using that right hip to send the left hip forward. And that'll keep the head right over the hips, so you're not leaning forward with the torso. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Try not to let that left knee go back with you. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm up and over, Parsvakonasana, or left hand down outside the foot. Getting as long as you can in both sides of the torso, wherever you are. Right hand comes down to the mat, make your way back, down dog. Start to put a bend in the knees, look forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Put the weight into the heels of the feet, bend the knees, reach the arms up. Lift and spread the toes. Trying to make the balls of the feet as wide as you can. And then gently set the toes back down. Keep hugging the belly in, lifting the chest up higher. Press all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, back to plank pose, down dog or vinyasa. Right foot steps up between the hands, left heel down, warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Extended side angle, maybe right hand outside the foot, left arm reaches up to the sky. Sorry, side angle pose. So left arm reaches up to the sky, not up and over. So left arm straight up. Look down at the right foot, hug that outer right hip in a little bit, reach forward, bending the knee as much as you can, as far as you can with that right hand. You're coming into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So shift the weight forward to the right foot, lift that left leg up, press out through both heels, hug the belly in as you spread the chest wide open, and then see how light can you get in this bottom hand. Maybe you start to float the fingertips away from the ground. Maybe the hand comes to the heart and you keep shining the heart up. Ooh. Come back to standing in warrior two. So bend that standing leg, reach back with the left foot, spread the arms out wide, and then straighten the front leg. As you straighten the front leg, flip that front palm up, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Should feel pretty good. Send that right knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Hands come down to the mat. Make your way back, downward facing dog. Maybe a vinyasa. Left foot steps forward, right heel down, warrior two. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Side angle pose. Could do forearm to thigh or maybe left hand outside the foot. A block's always nice too. Right arm reaches up. Hug the belly in, open up across the chest. Then look down at the left foot. You can start to shift forward on the back foot. So you're pushing the weight forward. Left hand goes way ahead of that left pinky toe. And then you start to shift forward all the way into the left leg. So you can lift the right leg up. Hug the belly in, open up across the chest. That left sit bone is pointing straight back. So if you feel like it's going out to the side, see if you can adjust. Get light in the bottom hand. Maybe you come up onto those fingertips. Maybe you float the hand away from the ground. Maybe left hand to heart. Warrior two is your exit. Bend the standing leg, reach back, land soft with that right leg. Spread the arms out wide. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Send that left knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat, step back, down dog. Choose if you want a vinyasa. If it feels good to stay there, stay there. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. This time, step the left foot back behind you like you're in a runner's lunge. And then spin that left heel down flat, setting up for warrior two. Come up this way. Left arm brings you up, warrior two. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Keep lengthening that right thigh away from you. Side angle pose. Maybe right hand outside the foot, left arm reaches up. You know where we're headed. Look down at that right foot. Shift forward, reach that right hand as far forward as you can ahead of the right big toe. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. And that back foot can hop in a couple of times. Maybe it lifts. There's a lot of different ways to do this. You are looking for strength and grace. And it makes me laugh because sometimes it's not always happening, but we do our best. So a little bend in that standing leg, hug the core in and start to float the hand away from the ground if that's happening today. Maybe hand to the heart, you open up across the chest. Another option, you could bend that lifted leg, the left leg, reach back and grab for the foot. Right hand can be down, or you can take Chapasana. If you have the foot, gently release it. Warrior two, take your time getting there. Bend that standing leg, reach back with the left foot. Flip that front palm, straighten the front leg, reaching back, reverse triangle. This time, let's take triangle. So come up to standing. You can shorten the stance a little bit. Reach forward, pull that right hip back, right arm down, left arm up. So you're going for where you get the most space in the pose. Most of us get really hooked on how far down we can reach. But even if you go down as far as you can go, you may take away space from the pose. So sometimes it's nice to lift the pose up by reaching up a little higher with that left arm and then seeing, do you have more control over the legs in your Trikonasana if the chest is higher than lower? Reverse warrior. Bend that right knee, reach up and back with the right arm. Then windmill the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. So you're back in a runner's lunge. Step that left foot forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips down, right foot steps back. Spin that right heel down flat, heel to arch or heel to heel, warrior two. So both ways are okay to adjust the feet. Heel to heel is just a little bit wider. And for some of us, that feels a little bit better. I've always done heel to arch, and I'm noticing that I'm starting to move toward heel to heel. So you just let your practice evolve the way that it wants to, and don't keep forcing yourself into boxes that don't work for you. Flip the front palm, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Side angle pose, left hand down, maybe on a block, right arm reaches up. Look down at that left foot, shift forward, Ardha Chandrasana. So left hand underneath the left shoulder. You want plenty of room for the torso, so that's why it's ahead of the foot. Right outer right corner of the heel is lifted up. Get light in the left hand, as light as you can. Maybe you float it to the heart. And this is a harder transition coming into Chapasana, so you could leave the left fingertips down, although sometimes we have to lift them a little bit away to bend that right leg, reach for the foot, see if it's there, and then lengthen. So heart's going forward, quads getting long, and that lower back sacrum area is wide. If you have the foot, gently release. Warrior two. So put a bend in that standing leg. It's all core to get back there with strength and grace. Flip the front palm, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Come up to standing, setting up for triangle. Maybe shorten the stance if you feel better. That's all about stability in your own body. Hip shift back, left arm reaches forward, left arm down, right arm up. Playing with the height of the chest on this side. So maybe you go too low, maybe you go too high. Go slow though. Test it out and see where yours feels the best. Reverse warrior, bend that front knee, reach up and back. Windmill the hands down to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot, step that right foot forward to meet the left foot, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold back to chair pose. Put the weight in the heels of the feet. Reach the arms up. All the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Bring the arms down by the sides, finding Tadasana at the top of the mat. So feet are still hip width apart. Find a focal point eye level straight in front of you. Widen across the chest as you bring the shoulders right in place so they're not going up toward the ears. Then bring the hands to the hips. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Come into tree pose. So sole left foot inside of the ankle with the toes down, inside of the calf below the knee, or you reach down, grab for the foot, bring it up as high as you can get it to that inner thigh. Once you have the legs set up, reach the arms up, coming into your fullest expression of Vrikshasana tree pose. Chest is lifted. Gaze can go up too if you're feeling pretty good. Otherwise, keep it straight forward if it's wobbly today. Legs go down toward the earth, chest rises away from the hips. Hands come together right down in front of the heart, step the feet side by side. Tadasana, arms down by the sides, mountain pose. Samastitahi. And then start to shift the weight over to the left foot, hands to the hips, sole the right foot inside of the right ankle, calf below the knee, or reach down, grab for the foot, bring it up as high as you can to that inner thigh, more toward the back of the thigh. And the foot and the thigh press into one another. Reach the arms all the way up, Vrikshasana tree pose. Gaze is straight forward, fixed on something, or you can look up. Hands come together, back down in front of the heart, step the feet side by side, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Step the left foot back behind you. Set the back knee down. Reach the arms all the way up. We're coming into a twist. Bring the hands together, right down in front of the heart. Open the chest to the right. Lean forward if that feels okay, resting the elbow on the thigh or hooking the elbow outside the thigh. Arms and shoulders are a little bit more open today. You could spread the arms out wide if you want a deeper twist and you feel open enough for that. If it feels too deep, then skip it. Keep the hands together. Back knee can stay down, or you can tuck the back toes and lift the back knee if you want to put more effort into the pose. Hands come together. If you open them, hands back down to the mat. We'll all set that back knee down. Bring the right hand inside the right foot and move the right foot out to the right. So you're taking a wide lunge. So hands in front of the shoulders. So it's lizard. Back toes tucked, scoot that back knee as far as you can, reach the heart forward. So notice how the right hip is in a deep hip opening here. If you can keep the chest reaching forward and the upper back straight instead of rounding, you could take it down a little lower. This is where a block is really nice because you could come down onto the forearms and not go much lower, but you can play with the height of that. Some of you can get the forearms down to the mat without having any rounding in the back. If that's you, go for it. And if you're good with just the hands down, then keep the hands down. Toes are pointing forward on that right foot for now. And then bring the hands to the mat. If you went down to the forearms, you could still use the block underneath that left hand if you have one nearby. Right hand comes to the right hip, open the chest to the right. Maybe you bend that back leg and bring the foot in. And some of you can get down to the forearm on the left arm, and that'll feel good. The hand's feeling better for me, so I'm not doing that. Then gently let go of that left foot, right hand back down to the mat, set the block off to the side, heel toe this right foot back to center so the right hand can go outside of the right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, big step forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, right foot steps back this time. Set the back knee down, reach the arms all the way up. Hands come together, down in front of the heart, twist to the left, lean forward, rest the elbow or hook the elbow. See where your twist is at. You want as much length in the spine as you can. Maybe the arms open up wide. And some of you might be able to get the right hand down to the mat. Skip it if that sounds awful or feels awful. Back toes can tuck. You could lift the back knee, especially if you did it on the first side. And if it adds something to the pose, don't take away from it. Set the back knee down. If it's lifted, hands come together. Look back down at the mat, bring the hands to the mat. This time, left hand inside the left foot, heel toe the left foot out to the side, that wide lizard pose. So hands underneath the shoulders, chest is reaching forward, scoot that back knee as far as you can, maybe a block underneath the chest. So you can come down to the forearms and not go all the way down, but you decide where you want to be, keep the toes forward on the left foot. Upper back's not rounding. So once the upper back rounds, you start to take away the hip opening, which is why we're being a stickler there. And also the body's constantly trying to make things easier, and that makes this easier. But we're not here for long, so it's an active opening. Bring the hands back to the mat, block off to the side if you're using it, or bring it underneath the right hand. Left hand, left hip, open the chest to the left, bend that right knee, reach back, see if the foot's there. Bring it in. Then gently release the foot. Left hand inside the left foot and then heel toe the left foot in. So it's back to center, left hand outside the left foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, big step forward, feet at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let's come all the way back up to standing. Circle the arms. Come all the way up on the inhale. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up, just to Surya A. Exhale, forward fold, bring it back down. Inhale up halfway. Bend the knees, hands down to the mat. Last vinyasa if you want it on the way back to downward facing dog. You can skip it if you're done with those. Reach the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. Right shin comes forward for single pigeon, but listen up. So instead of bringing this right foot as far forward as you can, you want to keep it back so that the right foot's pretty close to the left hip. And then scoot that left leg back. You can set the left foot, top of the left foot down on the mat, and then walk the hands in, squeeze the hips together. And that'll square the hips a little bit more. All right, from here, left hand comes down to the mat, bring the right hand to the hip, just open the chest to the right. Good. Then bring the right hand down to the mat, bring the left hand to the hip, open the chest to the left. It's not like a real big twist or anything. All right. From here, see if you can bend that left leg, reach back and grab for the foot. And if it's not happening, don't worry about it. Just keep the hand on the hip. And then lift the chest up. You can even come up onto the fingertips that are down on the mat. Keep squeezing the hips together. Some of you are real close to get that left foot and the crook of the elbow. If that sounds insane, definitely skip it. But maybe you can get it in there. If that happens and the hand can be free, Right arm can reach up, lift the heart, maybe the hands lift, the whole pose kind of lifts. Taking this wherever you want it to go. And don't forget, there's a whole other hip and it might be a different story. And maybe that's the better side. All right, right hand back down to the mat. Gently release the left foot. Bring the hands forward so they're down on the mat. Tuck the back toes back to downward facing dog, which is a great counter pose for what we just did. So let's take a few breaths here. Hug the belly in. Widen across the lower back here. Hug the lowest front ribs in. Left leg reaches up and back. Bring the left shin forward, but you're keeping that left foot down by the hip. So it's the calf is not going horizontal. And then you want to scoot that right knee as far back as you can. Walk the hands in so they're coming more but the sides of the hips. Squeeze the hips together and you'll feel the hips kind of square. Right hand down, left hand, left hip, open the chest to the left just slightly so you get that twist in the spine. And then go the other way. So left hand down in front of the shoulders. I'm up on the fingertips. Right hand, right hip, open the chest to the right. Maybe the right foot bends. Maybe you reach back, grab for the right foot, bring it in. So the chest lifts. When you do that, you're squeezing the hips together and they're lifted away from the mat. Maybe on this side, you can get the foot in the crook of the elbow. Maybe the left arm reaches up. Left side of the rib cage reaches up. Maybe the hands connect. They don't have to. You're just playing with this wherever it is today. King pigeon. Then left hand comes down. If it's back behind the head, gently release the right foot. Hands back down to the mat. Downward facing dog. So that was our back bend, quad stretch, the whole thing. You can pedal out the feet a little bit. Child's pose. So if you're feeling anything in the lower back, bring the knees and the feet together, sit the hips back, forehead down, arms can go back too. Then hands underneath the shoulders, lift the hips or lift the head up, bring the feet to one side, and we'll come to seated on the mat with the legs extended out in front of us. Sole the right foot inside of the left leg. Open the chest toward the right knee. This twist will feel pretty good. Back of the left hand can come to that right thigh. Sit up as tall as you can. Finding the twist without using that left hand. Just use the core, upper abdomen core area. Left toes point up. Then bring the gaze back forward. Slowly unwind the chest. You're pointing toward the left toes. Janu Shirshasana. Walk the hands forward, folding over that left leg. Maybe the hands reach the foot, but they really don't have to. Then come back up to seated. Use that right hand to find center with the right leg, extending it out in front of you. Grab onto the back of the left thigh, sole the left foot inside of the right leg. Open the chest toward the left knee, sit up tall. Maybe the back of the right hand to that left thigh. Find your twist. Right toes point up and you sit up as tall as you can, pressing down into both sit bones evenly. Slowly unwind, facing the right toes. Reach the arms all the way up. Fold down over the leg. Head to knee, Janu Shirshasana. Come back up to center. Hang on to that left knee to bring it back. Extend the left leg forward. Reach the arms all the way up. Fold down over the legs. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. bring yourself back up to seated and decide seated meditation to close or on your back shavasana. Take your time getting yourself set up. Find some comfort wherever you are. Props are always nice for that, but you could also keep it really simple and not use anything. Then close the eyes wherever you are. Let's all take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it go. Dropping right into stillness. If you're in your seated meditation, stay right in stillness. If you're on your back, start to find some small movements, wiggling the fingers and the toes, and stretching the arms overhead, waking up the body again. Walking the feet in, bending the legs, and rolling over to your right side, keeping the eyes closed, cradling the head in the arm. Use the hands to bring yourself up to your meditation seat, whatever shape that is. We'll all start to sit up as tall as we can, rising up through the crown of the head, bringing the hands together in front of us and taking a moment to ourselves to bow the head, honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining Flow. Sometimes it's nice to have these more challenging poses to work toward, or ones that you've never done before, to play, explore, and have this fascination with your body and how it's working today. So I hope you enjoyed that. See you next week.